Right, welcome to our Christmas special. And seeing as it's Christmas, I thought I would look at King James. And the idea that maybe King James was black, right, which you see written on a lot of stuff. Where this idea come from, I don't know. But and when it came about, I'm not sure. But it's there as a type of an idea written into the stuff and that, like the King James was black. Right? So I thought I'd have a look at this. And it's quite strange because obviously if the ones which are the sort of the successors and relatives of him and that, or who or whatever, are not like they're not black, you know what I mean? They're not negrozoid or whatever you call it, right? They're sort of we're supposed to be all different things like Jewish and all this. But of course that isn't actually a racial thing. That's in the code for being a tea drinker, right? But it seemed like as if they look like more like horses and people anyway, like but they seem more white than black, right? Like if you look at Charles and Princess Margaret and all that type of thing, they seem more white than black, you know what I'm saying? So where this idea comes from, right? As you can see, quite a lot of stuff written about it and all that, right? In actual fact, I was thinking about the one where I typed in Princess Margaret and it's like, I was thinking about Anne or something, but there's Margaret, right? No, it looks a bit blackish, like, know what I mean? It looks, there may be a hint of blackness in them. I mean, that one doesn't look black at all. And that one, it doesn't really look black. But maybe in a few of them there's a type of a blackish look. Maybe you could see a blackish look in that one. Of course, it's trans. And a very funny type of hair. As we know, they take the horse hormones. But a hint of black race, I'm not sure, like, really. That one, maybe looks like a hint of black race. Not sure that one does, like, that one looks like a little white man type of thing. Look like Winston Churchill, that one. Like a white man type of thing. These two sisters, Margaret and Elizabeth, they have a bit of maybe a blackish look, but there's something like a European look about that one. Like the long nose and the ears and that. So it's it's like it's funny to sort of to try and interpret this code, right? And again, they got like a fairly black looking complexion and that, like olive complexion type of thing there with that one. So it's a funny thing, what's is written in. And obviously, like, these people are behind all the multiculturalism type of ideas and all that, right? So there's obviously something, like going back to Africa and the East idea to their system and that, right? I mean, here, it doesn't particularly look any African type of genetics in that one there, right? But again, it's a possibility in this one. So you never know, you know what I mean, with but there has to be a reason for the code, right, why it's coded in, right? And this is quite interesting, right? As well, if you type in "was Jesus black," right, you get like these type of images, which are very, corresponding to that type of image. That's obviously the traditional image. or what became the traditional image of Jesus Christ and that. And that type of hair, is basically very similar, like, isn't it? The movies we're talking about, right? And I touched on this idea before in another video, where I said that they're basically Europeanizing African ideas, right? And presenting them to the European people, right? As if they are European ideas. So the type of statues, all the statues made in marble and that. Like Aphrodite is obviously the biggest example, right? Aphrodite, obviously, African deity, basically, like an African god or goddess idea. And Aphrodite is portrayed as an in white marble for a start, right? In white marble, which again is, basically showing the way they're thinking, right? So they're representing African type of gods and ideas in a European format, right? So it's like they're presenting African ideas and giving them to European people, right? And that's why they Europeanize them, right? Obviously, this idea, which is again relating to the hippies and the stone peace and love idea, the hippies idea, which very much relates to the Jesus idea, right? So as you can see, a lot of type of correlations between them and that. Of course, if you go out the way, like African countries are out of, they've basically got their own imagery about Jesus and all that, right? And obviously presented it in a black way, not a Europeanized way, you know what I'm saying? And there you go, like stuff like that. That's what you find out in Africa. Not obviously a Europeanized white Jesus. See what I'm saying? So there's something funny about the whole thing, right? You know what I'm saying? There's something funny about it, the way they present it to the different continents and all that, right? Some sort of strange idea. This was presented on the news quite a few years ago, where supposedly found something that like led to a real face mock-up of the real Jesus or something. Of course, it's all hex, you know what I mean? But it's very interesting the way that they present, like there you go, and they present the Europeanized version and the African version of it, right? So now we'll look at the James Charles Stewart idea, right, which is the name of King James I, right? And we see another James Charles Stewart on 7th of September, right? So we see some coding in this. We see here James Charles Stewart idea, James Charles. And this. So there's a lot of James Stewart tied in with Jesus, right? Right? Yeah, a lot of codes tied in with it. And of course, James Stewart was one of the biggest Hollywood stars and all that. More ideas with the James Charles Stewart, strange, right? Remember that you got the trans GE in this strange, right? Very, very much one that codes in that. Like the Jim Morrison songs, the strange, always strange, right? In office of the East India Tea Company, right? East India Tea Company, right? You get always, oftentimes, the James Charles Stewart is name's Charles James Stewart. As they're connected to the church ideas, clergy, bishops, Jacob Mountain, look, George Jehoshaphat Mountain. So always the connection to the religious type of thing and the politics, the establishment type of idea, establishment, East, right? And the tablets. I'll be doing another video on establishment later on, like. See what I mean? James Stewart always connected to religious ideas and what have you. James Stewart. David Stewart, like the Eurythmics one, right? James 2:10. Yeah, an interesting thing about Jesus' Forgotten Bro, and that's only from 2021, right? James, so they're reminding you about James, very much Masonic code, right? Story out the Express newspaper, Jesus' Forgotten Bro, rediscovered, Christ's story rewritten, Forgotten Brother James. Jerusalem, nearly 2,000 years ago, the revolutionary Jewish-led movement. Again, that's metaphorical for now, right? The 2,000 years ago idea is fake as, right? But the revolutionary Jewish-led movement is what's basically going on now, isn't it? And then our famous thing by, what do you call it, Barbara Lerner Spectre, that thing and that. The citizen of the Roman Empire. There's an interesting tea drinking face. Who was the real Jesus Christ? The Hebrew. There you go. See. You hear more code, right? James is regarded as one of the most mysterious people in the whole story of Christianity. See what I'm saying? I was coding in this idea of James mysterious, right? To think about, how that relates to this. So basically, your King James is the inspiration for Jesus' character, right? And that's why it's the mystery, and also the idea of James being black. So the idea of James being Jesus, right? Jesus lived in Egypt, which is Africa, as a young boy. Mistake to think there wasn't international travel during Jesus' time. Of course, because, it'd be a lot later than what it's meant to be, right? So, Jesus wasn't born in Africa, but he went to Africa. Right? So basically, interesting to get the raisin idea out of that. The raisin. Raising the dead. Raising the dead. Raisin was up with a dark coloured dried large grape. Raisin in the Sun by Lorraine Hansberry. Harlem. A black family's experience in South Chicago. Classic book. A Broadway production. His son Travis. Sidney Poitier. Louis Gossett Jr. Apparently it's a classic production, like. Basically, when they give you this image, it's a Europeanized version of the Jesus, right? Europeanized.